All right.
Consent agenda. Just kidding.
You got your instructions.
All right.
This way.
Are we?
Seems like
Yeah, we're giving Jeff too much room over there.
we just make Jeff the mayor.
No. He's got his own.
You don't have to keep going. I think I was accused of being the mayor.
He's got his own thing.
They can. They're more than welcome.
Uh-huh.
I always wanted to say Chairman Mao anyway.
I'm not even in front of my microphone now. See? There. Not that I need the microphone.
And you're
But
such a low talker.
I am a low talker. My parents always said, use your quiet voice. I said, this is my quiet voice.
What? Okay. Call to order. Join me in a moment of silence. Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Mann.
Here.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Fountain.
Here.
Trustee Lindhorst. Trustee Mao.
Here.
Trustee Scherschel.
Present.
Village President Kimsey.
Village President Kimsey's in Chicago this evening.
Do we need to do anything to have?
Yeah, so if you want to have a motion to have Trustee Gerger as the chairman of the meeting.
I will make the motion to have Trustee Gerger serve as chairman of tonight's meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay. All right. The ayes have it. Next, public announcements. Do we have any public announcements? I do have a proclamation I'd like to read. I'll just go ahead and read it. Proclamation. Be it proclaimed, whereas the Village of Chatham owes a debt of gratitude to Jane Hay for her years of dedicated volunteering service to the residents of Chatham. Now, therefore, I, David C. Kimsey, President of the Village of Chatham, do hereby proclaim that Volunteer Drive be designated as Honorary Jane Hay Drive for a period beginning the third week of July 2018 and ending on the third week of July 2019. Whereas the Village of Chatham will remove the sign and present it to Rollo Saucier. I think that needs changed. Would we present it to Jane Hay when we remove it?
I think it's already been changed.
Right, but the proclamation says when we remove it, we're going to present it to Rollo.
Rollo already has his.
You already got it.
We're going to give, Rollo's already got his. You're right. We probably need to fix that.
So if we could fix that before.
Unless Rollo's going to be the official keeper of
the signs.
He's like collecting them. They're like
So
Trading
I'm
witness thereof.
the proclamation to Jane Hay.
Yeah, so the proclamation is only signed by the mayor,
Right.
so we'll fix that before he's.
Change it before he signs it. And then in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand on this 24th day of July 2018. David C. Kim.
I would like to move to affirm that the village board affirms the proclamation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. It was a very nice presentation at the Sweet Corn Festival, too. She was very moved and did not know about it. Surprise. Okay, public comments on agenda topics. I have Andrea Parker.
I'm moving slow because I can't see. I have cataract surgery and I can't put glasses on.
Oh.
I'm going to say this, but I don't mean it directed at any one person. And I'm just saying that out there. Regarding the proposed new employees of new employee of General Foreman Parks and Water, I'm wondering why the village is increasing the cost of utilities at a higher pace with no projected end in sight and leasing almost everything purchased. Are we considering adding more administrative staff no doubt with executive salaries and benefits. It's my understanding that we already have 2 employees who are titled Parks Lead Maintainer and Water Lead Maintainer with healthy salaries who perform these functions and report to the village manager. I also understand that there was no public hearing on this matter, just an announcement from the village manager that he was proposing the new staff position and putting it on the agenda for the next board meeting. Why were taxpayers not informed of this personnel addition in a timely fashion and a chance to express their thoughts on this decision, which really is not an urgent problem given the fact that the village manager has already had this responsibility for quite some time. If the village has to constantly raise utility rates to pay bills, how are we able to afford to add expensive and I think unnecessary personnel, which funding also comes from the pockets of the taxpayers? I don't care what line item on the village expenses it comes out of. In the end, you dip in our pockets for everything. And I'm just wondering if this proposed personnel addition is just another layer of government between the board and complaining citizens.
Thank you. That's all I have on agenda topics. Can I have a motion to bring the consent agenda forward?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Trustee Mao,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Mann. Any discussion on the board minutes, meeting minutes from July 10th or the warrants? Okay, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann?
Yes.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Trustee Fountain?
Yes.
Trustee Mao?
Yes.
Trustee Churchill?
Yes. Okay. Next, old business, we have none. New business, an ordinance amending the village code to create the position of general foreman, water and parks, and adopting a job description for the position.
So moved. You
Trustee
need that
Churchill, yep.
Okay.
Trustee Churchill's brought it forward. I have a second.
Second.
Trustee Fountain is seconded. Discussion?
Pat, I know we've brought in Matrix as our performance audit that's studying our jobs and our layout and looking at best practices. They've recommended a position like this, haven't they?
I brought this forward to them and said that I needed a person to come in. We have, Shane Hill was acting as general foreman for all 4 departments, and it was more than I think that he could handle. We get a lot of complaints on the streets. We get complaints on the parks, water, and the electric. So from those, I've asked Shane to take over the streets and the electric, and another person to come in and step forward and take over the water and the parks. I ran that by the guys from Matrix, and they agreed with it. They sent a letter. You guys have seen the letter. It's on board docs under the executive content. So along with their recommendation, I brought it to the mayor and to the board. I've told you guys all about the position and who I have in mind for it and how we're going to fund it, and that's where we're at tonight.
And it's within the budget, right? The proposed budget.
It is in the budget.
I understand that with being, fiscally responsible, but I think we definitely needed resources for the parks. Whatever we could do. I mean, I think we do need a lot. We have a lot of needs there, and dedicating that time there is needed. So I would agree with that, and having that recommendation from Matrix, I think does support that.
And I think that was the purpose. I thought we would find areas where we were short because we are growing as a community, and their letter spoke to that.
And just speaking of Matrix, I might be veering a little bit, so don't slap my hand, but I am curious if just the update from them, because I know they said they would interview us to kind of understand our goals and objectives. So, and I know they've kind of paused a little bit, but I want to make sure that they still intend to do that.
They do. They were waiting for the public survey to get out and get responses for it. Thursday night, the steering committee will meet and go over those questions. We'll refine all those, and then once UIS gets everything together, we'll send those questionnaires out, get that information back. They'll compile it, and then we'll send that off to Matrix, and then I would imagine they would go on and start through the rest of their process.
Okay.
At least that's what the plan was.
Any further discussion on this ordinance?
I'm going to add one thing, and I'll acknowledge, what Andrea said. It's not without thought from us when it comes to adding these types of positions. And that's why we brought Matrix in. We brought them in the very beginning of this year. We knew and we know that this village is shorthanded. We can't get things done. We can't get things done. Our budget is in good shape. It's in excellent shape. We need to move forward. So we will, make these types of decisions, and it's not without, we know why we have to do it. Every one of us knows why this has to be done. And we're not doing it on just Pat's recommendation. That's why we brought in an outside company to help and analyze the information that we have. So it's not without thought, and it's very purpose-based, and it is what it is, and we need to do it.
And I would say we know a reason that people move here are for the parks. And we want to make sure we support those in many different ways.
If our budget is so good, how come we have such high utility rates? Because the money all comes from the same pot. You may divide it up.
We don't pass, all we're doing is passing on the charge that's to the village. That's it. We're not making any more money off of the water. We're making 30 cents per 1,000 gallons. That's it. And that pays for what we need to do on our side. Electric's the same thing. We have to pass on the charge that's being charged to the village.
And as I've said before, the increases that we passed on, these were small as compared to the ones in the past when we didn't pass them on and we held on to them, and the village ate those costs. And then eventually we had to pass on a bigger increase, which was worse, in my opinion. At least now we're able to kind of budget or, see these increases and kind of budget for them at home rather than that major increase down the road later.
And I would say that these decisions aren't taken lightly. Every one of us knows why we're trying to stem the tide as best we can.
And we're actively working on the utility stuff and working with Lee. I think things are going to get better with us in control out there as best as they can be with the situation we're dealt. So any more discussion on this? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann?
Yes.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Trustee Fountain?
Yes.
Trustee Mel?
Yes.
Trustee Churchill?
Yes.
Okay, next is the ordinance amending the village code provisions on emergency management.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Churchill, seconded by Trustee Mann. Discussion? Pat, you want to kind of explain why
We had hired a gentleman by the name of Matt Bryant to be the SEMA director. Matt has not been here since April the 1st. He's told the weather spotters that he's resigned. He's talked to Dave, but
has he told us?
He's not given us a formal letter of resignation. So what the ordinance you'll be looking at here does away with that type of SEMA director where it's an outside consultant, and then creates a new position as SEMA director as an employee of the village. And then that person will work.
I'm not real happy about that with Mr. Bryant in that we're in tornado season and he hasn't told anybody that he's not doing the job.
They've reached out to him again today and he didn't either answer the call or didn't respond to it. So
okay.
Well, I hope, with this new change and this new addition of the new director, I hope we can get the plan approved and looked at it as soon as we can too, as to Chairman Gerger's comment that, we are in storm season and we need to get that plan approved.
From a communication standpoint, with different emergencies, or I know we had that issue over by the overpass. Do we have a communication? Would this person serve as the spokesperson, or would that be the village president? If that would be needed.
I think if the SEMA is called into action, they will evaluate the operation at that time. And then the whole idea is put a plan together when something like that happens so that we know who will be the first one on the scene, who takes control of it until someone else shows up to be able to either hand it off to them or continue as running the operation and see what either the SEMA director or the mayor or myself or the fire department can do to be able to assist in taking care of that.
Yep.
We do have the candidate here too.
Yep.
I'll introduce him. Trent Thompson in the yellow shirt. You guys saw I put his resume and his bio online, as well as what he proposes to do in the first year or in the next 9 months. So I think that's a very well thought out plan. And
What do you have, Jeff?
Yeah, just for a point of clarification, the ordinance change to the village code actually would allow either the individual to be an employee or a contractor.
Either or.
okay.
Either or. But the previous provision required the director to carry liability insurance and to have different requirements like that.
If they're a contractor, our insurance won't cover them.
That's right. So the change was made to say that if they're an employee and they're covered by our insurance carrier, then they do not have to meet those independent insurance requirements. So this first ordinance is simply approving that modification to the village code. The next item that we will consider, due to the absence of the previous appointee, will appoint the new SEMA director.
Good enough. Any more discussion on this ordinance? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
All right. Next, resolution appointing Trenton N. Thompson as the Director of Chatham Emergency Management Agency.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Churchill, seconded by Trustee Mao. Discussion? I can start the discussion. Trent came from me. He was somebody that I recommended to the mayor. There is nobody more qualified than Mr. Thompson. No community in this state will have the level of person we'll have at this. He can speak to his resume. You guys have read his resume, but when we had statewide disasters, he was at IEMA and in charge of them. So it's really nice to have that kind of expertise at the helm of this.
And first off, I want to say thank you for considering being this and doing this position, and being the son of a former director. Like I told you, it's not an easy position by any means, and like I said, reading your credentials and everything you've done, your involvement in Washington with the tornadoes there, and different things. That's you sound like a great candidate and a great person for this position.
You obviously come highly recommended, and I just feel fortunate that we have you here, and thank you.
Do you have anything you want to say, Mr. Thompson?
I'm just looking forward to the opportunity to serve the community and bring SEMA to the next level and the next phase of where it needs to be. Plans in place, training accomplished, and getting done.
Thank you.
First meeting, me and Dave met with Trent, and we were impressed. And then we set up a meeting with the fire chief and the superintendent of the schools. Fire chief was on vacation at the time, and the superintendent came, and I think he was impressed too. And he said he would put full support behind what we need to be able to do. And he explained what's important to him inside the school, and we explained what's important to us on the outside of the school. So I think we'll work together as a really good team.
And this really hadn't happened before, correct?
Well, I think Matt was attempting to do that.
Right.
I'm just not sure how far along he got.
Good.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Public comments on village business? Anyone? Schedule of meetings, Utility Oversight Subcommittee meeting, 6 p.m., August 13th. Planning Commission, 6 p.m., August 16th. Chatham Police Commission, 5:30, August 16th. Public Properties and Recreation Commission meeting, September 10th, 6 p.m. Village Board, 6 p.m., September 11th. Do we have any need for closed session?
But I have one more thing. I'd
Sure.
like to introduce Reverend Clarence Rogers. I don't know how many of you guys know him. He is one of our weather spotters and also is our ham operator for the SEMA team.
There
So
was none.
I asked him to come tonight, so
Thank you.
you could
I
meet
did.
Trent firsthand. So.
Well, thank you for your service too.
And from personal experience, I know he's a good man and a hard worker, so.
Who's that? The Reverends?
Yeah, the Reverend, yeah, that's right.
How can you call a Reverend not a good man?
Okay, nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao?
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Mann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.